The idea that Nigeria could be rid of an enormous amount of debt, $30 billion of external debt that was dragging it down. We worked on it under his leadership, we got it done, and that is a big legacy.
The legacy really is to have a country where we have democracy, we have institutions, and we also have rule of law. This will bring quite a lot of investment and prosperity.
So many of us continue to see him as a brother, and to look to him for good advice.
I think that 20, 30, 40 years from now, Nigerians will appreciate even more than they do now how he sort of broke the mold for leaders in Africa and for new democracies. I'll always be grateful to him because I think he really made a difference.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's program. I have with me on the set today a very special personality, and he's the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR. That means the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic. And we will take you on a tour of the Presidential Library, which is the first in Africa. And then when we come back, we'll have some discussion. But during that tour, we'll ask Mr. President questions and he'll express his thoughts to you. God bless you.
My mission will be fulfilled if, at the end of your visit and tour of these facilities, you feel inspired. Inspired to do because you can do. Inspired to be a hero by doing ordinary things that other ordinary people may fear to do, because, of course, there's a hero in you. Inspired to achieve because you can be an achiever. Inspired to say no to anything that may want to hold you down. Inspired to be exemplary because you have a good example to give. Inspired to be successful as success beckons to you. Any nation that wants to be regarded as making progress in democracy, peace, development, justice, and living standard of its citizens must embrace and promote these values: industry, respect, humility, love, compassion, and fear of God. We all need a critical mass of these values to succeed. My vision for Nigeria is a country united in love and harmony, and a country that is doing its best to achieve the purpose for which it has been created. And I believe that God doesn't make a mistake. Nigeria was created the largest nation in Africa, and indeed the largest nation in the black world. Nigeria is a beacon of light for the rest of the human community. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come along with me as we explore and move through a journey of knowledge and inspiration. Of course, I have the honor and the
opportunity to end the war. And that, we recovered a lot of materials from the other side. And for a long time, what I was trying to do is keep them until the room in my house where I kept them, there was a storm and the roof went off. So I had to then decide to put them in microfilm. So we put them in microfilm. And that's all right. We've preserved them somewhat. But then, what do we do? So I said, well, look, if I have opportunity, I will have a place where these things can be permanently preserved and also can be made available to scholars.
And people are coming from different parts of the world. They visit here, young people, scholars, and they come here and they have a good time in this place.
Yeah,
we created an environment like this.
An environment that encourages, if you like, intellectual, touristic, relaxation, all wrapped together. Let's go. The idea is that when people come, this will be the first port of call. We call it Arrival Pavilion.
This place.
This was the bicycle I was using to go around the farm.
When was this exactly?
This was in 1979.
This was after
I left public office.
Yes. You started using this one in your farm.
On my farm, to go around the farm.
Interesting.
Each of the things here, well, may have something. And you can see we do the given English and French. I think that should be enough. It's the car that I was using when I was Chief of Staff and Military Head of State.
You used this car
Yeah.
as military head of state.
For my going out in the evening.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you remember the low profile.
Yeah, that's right.
This,
Yes.
the low profile.
Then all the public officers were compelled to use. Interesting.
As I traveled, I picked something that I think is of interest. This is the map of the world. That is the way the world appeared. When I was arrested, this was the car that took me to the police. The police brought a car to arrest me. My late wife decided he must travel with me, whatever happens. I said, look, I'm being arrested. I don't know whether I will come back. He said, well, it doesn't matter. So I said to the man, your car will not take all of us because you want to be in the car and my wife wants to be in the car. And, you come with 2 other people. So do we take my car? He said, okay, you can take your car. So it's my own car that took me to the police station.
This was the car.
That was the car. And when I came back, it was the car that I used for the first campaign in 1999.
Interesting.
This is another map of Africa. What year is this? This is what they call Pope's Mobile. I was given 2 of these to campaign for my second term, and I used it only once, and I realized the stupidity of it. How can you call yourself man of the people and then you have to put yourself in this? So I didn't use it more than once, but I thought it should be here.
You were supposed to campaign inside this.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
I like these maps. You can see, but you can see there was no Nigeria, and
That's true, because Nigeria should be in that
Yeah.
place here. It was not there.
Madagascar is shown.
These are all before Nigeria.
No Nigeria.
I think it's very fascinating for the young students when
Yes.
they come here and see something like this.
Yes. Africa of whatever.
Absolutely.
Now this was one of the helicopters that we used during the Civil War. And the Air Force decided to give one of the helicopters deactivated. When the Air Force did that, of course, it was the Army that started. The Army gave one armored car and a command Land Rover. Then the Air Force said, no. If the Army does something, then the Air Force must. So the Air Force gave this. I used it a couple of times. And
It was
then
still working.
it's deactivated. And the Navy gave what was their flagship.
So with this, you went to Azorok.
Yeah, this from Eagle Square drove me to Aso Villa. The idea is to talk about the history of the equipment, what was it used for, what year it was, and
As a soldier, when you look at these things and you see some of those videos we saw just now with those soldiers, what goes through your mind, your memory, when you look at these things?
The futility of war.
The futility of war. Why do you say so?
It's wasteful. And at the end of it all, you find that what might have cost it would be something that could have been resolved without resorting to war. And at the end of it, you still have to come down and talk, negotiate.
Is this why you travel to various nations to try to resolve disputes
I believe
between
there's
people?
no substitute for peace.
There's no substitute for peace.
No substitute. And when you see all these things, the amount of money that countries use or spend in preparing for war. If we spend 10% of it in preparing for peace, there will be peace in the world.
Interesting. You call it the futility of war. Why do you have this passion for children throughout Africa?
No. Our today and our tomorrow depends on what we do with the children. And I was born in a rural community by parents who, by the rural community that I was born in, were not well-to-do, but were comfortable. My father was a farmer. My mother was a, petty trader, buying one thing there and selling. And I remember that my life was essentially made by my experience as a child growing up in the village. And what I remember those I grew up with who didn't have the opportunity of going to school. What became of them? Not that I was born better than them. Not that the environment that I grew up was the same environment. But my father had the presence of mind to think of me going to school. My father was a disciplinarian, and that was good for me.
He wanted you to go to school, and he saw to it you went to school.
And whatever we are planning for the future, children, development of our children must be primary.
Must be primary.
So this is it. This we call youth rock, because the youth development center is on the other side of that.
So you created this from the from the water that was coming in.
Again, because the library is not only for people who will come from outside. The community too must feel part of it.
Yes.
So what is it that the community can enjoy? We have a church which is meant for the community, and we have a mosque, the two major communities religious. We wanted to have something here. We gave a competition, which we call Nigeria Unity in Diversity. So what they wanted to do was to get some artists. I said, no, let's have it a competition, schools and colleges and all that. And you can see the different people's idea of unity in diversity. It's interesting. That one has a drama.
What simple advantages would you say we have in preserving the unity of our country rather than having it split into 3 or 4 parts? Any advantages of being one?
Of course. There's always advantage. There's always great advantage in number.
In number.
In number.
So to begin with, in sheer numbers.
Number. Now, it doesn't matter what you are as a leader if you come from a small country.
So one major advantage we have as a country, our population is a significant advantage.
But population without that population being empowered through education, through skill, through empowerment, through training, where we have commonality. I'm not talking that we should all be the same tribe, speak the same language, but commonality of purpose, unity of purpose. And then we are all able to be trained to develop the innate capacity that God has given to us and be able to acquire knowledge.
So if you were to advise, you would say preserve the unity of the country rather than split into 3 or 4 parts.
Well, why should we do stupid things if other parts of the world are trying to come together? Why should we? Now, take for us Africa. The population of the Chinese is about 1.4. Indians, about 1.3 billion. We in Africa, we're about 1.1, 1.2. Now the Chinese are one economy, one market, one country. The Indians, one economy, one market, one country. So you can see that whatever problem they have, they are solving them. We are 54, 55 different countries. So 54, 55 markets, 54 or 55 economies. And you can imagine, how do we deal with that? So we, as a country in Africa, have a role to play by maintaining our own unity and fostering the unity or integration, at least at the economic level, immediately.
When you were,
political level.
just before you became president, we had a problem in our country, which was the brain drain at the time. How significant do you think that was to our economy?
It was significant. But you will also remember that when I became president, there was some form of reverse brain drain, if you like, people coming back. Now, you can only sustain that if you maintain the economy. We were growing at about 5, 6, 7%. So everybody was coming. For instance, one day, Charles Soludo, who was the
Central Bank governor,
Central Bank governor for part of my period, said to me, phoned me frantically and said, "Mr. President, do you know yesterday the amount of money that flew into Nigeria, direct foreign investment, was $80 million in one day?" And he said, "Sir, if we have that every day for 5 days in the week, leave out Saturday and Sunday, that would be $400 million. I said, "Charles, thank you very much, but I'm not satisfied with that. I want a minimum of $100 million a day." And he said, "We'll get there." And we could have got there. And we could even do better. And that is if we do what is right in managing our affairs, particularly our economic affairs. And that we are not there, we shouldn't blame it on anybody. We should blame it on ourselves. As I always say, African leaders get what they bargain for. When I took over in 1999, some Nigerians said I would be the last president of Nigeria. Some said, well, look, this is the end. And I said, I will give the best that I have. But if the best does not work, it will not be because I have not given the best. It will be because there are forces that are beyond my control.
What would you say was your most significant economic decision as president?
Getting debt relief.
That's quite interesting.
We were spending $3 billion to service our debt every year. And even with that, the quantum of debt was not going down. Our total debt was about 36 billion. When we got relief and we got relief of about almost 20 billion from both Paris Club and London Club.
So we had almost 2/3 of it
now
taken away.
Taken away.
How did you achieve that?
And then, quantum of our debt came down to 3.6 billion. So, and then, of course, those who gave us debt relief, I promised them that I will use the gain from that debt relief to pursue MDG, Millennium Development Goal. And that was where I put Amina Mohammed, who is now the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. It was the work she did in managing what we secure as relief and putting it into the areas of millennium development. He told me once that some of our leaders in the National Assembly said, "Come on, give us something out of this." And he said, "Look, it's not meant for that."
What made you think we could get the debt relief? Especially when it was so significant and they were making money from us.
Yes, I realized that the international community, there's certain amount of goodwill. You have to tap onto it. And you have to know how to tap onto it. Now the world is not all bad. No. But you need to know how to tap into the goodwill of the world.
So you saw the need to see these leaders personally and have private discussions with them.
Yes. Before I was sworn in, I had gone around. The then head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, was kind, gave me a plane just to thank those who stood for me when I was arrested, when I was put in detention, and when I was put in jail. And went around America, Europe, Asia, Latin America. The only place I didn't go to Australia at that time, but I went to the other continents. And when I met Wolfenson, who was then the president of the World Bank, I said to him, "I want debt relief." He said, "I believe you can get it, but it will not be easy." I said, "You will have to help me." He said, "Well, if you do the right thing, I will help you." And that's how it started. Eventually, Tony Blair saw what we had to, because one of our debtor countries, one of our creditor countries, had to take it upon itself to preach to make our case, because we won't be there when the
discussing
G7
it.
and
That's right. So you were sort of can I say, a master negotiator himself. You had to be on that seat.
Oh, yes. No, and look, in fact, part of what I did was I had to especially bring Ngozi. My first time, I used to go around and they will listen to me. They say, well, you have a point. After my first time, I said, yes. I go around, they say you have a point, but my having a point has not materialized into anything. So I went to Wolfenson again. I said, look, I have a problem and I think I know the solution. So what is your problem? I said, I go around these leaders. They say to me, I have a point, but nothing happens. I now want somebody who understands what it takes. Can you give me a lady working with you? That was Ngozi. And he said, well, if you want her.
Who was at the time at the World Bank?
At the World Bank. He said, well, if you want her, we'll release her to you. I said, I want two things. In addition to having her, I want you to pay her salary.
Why she's doing this for?
Yeah, he said, if you are giving her a technical job, you will pay her salary. But if you give her a political job, you will not pay her salary. I said, for her to be effective, that has to be a political job. If I just make her a technical advisor, but if I make her a minister, when wherever she goes, she Minister of Finance Nigeria has come. He said, oh. I said, all right, we will look for how we will pay her salary. I said, the second thing, when she finishes her job, you should reserve
her position.
Her position. I said, no. The day she leaves that job, somebody takes over the position. But if she, after serving you, you still think she has come out clean, we will get her appropriate job. And he did that.
Excellent. 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 You were said to be one of the most widely traveled presidents while you were in office. So you were actually doing these things as an opportunity to negotiate personally.
Of course. In today's world, and you know it, Pastor, that when somebody you know face to face takes a telephone and talks to you, you talk more familiarly than somebody you have not. Mm-hmm. So I know those leaders.
Because I remember that Nigeria still needed to utilize the opportunities created by the debt relief. And at that time, business in Nigeria, in fact, there was a lot of progress. What did you do that opened up so many opportunities for Nigerians as well as international investors?
As I said, there's some goodwill out there. There's money out there that will legitimately come to your country as investment. But that money will not come unless what needs to be done is done. One, they need to have confidence in your leadership. Two, they need to have confidence in the institutions that will foster and enhance their own investment. Let me give you one example. I wanted investment in the solid mineral. And a friend of mine in New York, who made his fortune in solid minerals, gold and all that, I called him and I said, look, Maurice, why are you not investing in Nigeria? And he laughed. He said, my friend, you are a joker. I said, I'm not a joker. I'm very serious. He said, you are a joker. I said, now what do I have to do? He said, where is your law? That time we have no law. Solid mineral. He said, where is your regulation? It should be an outcome of your law. Where is your map? I said, okay, then what do I do? He said, go to the World Bank. They will give you a model law which you can shape. That was what I did. From there, we got our regulation. Then from there, I went to the World Bank and said, okay, look, we have to have this survey. They said, okay, if you are ready to put some money, we will give you counterpart funding, which they did. Now, when I left, all that stopped. When I left government. And only very recently, when I met the Minister of State in the Ministry of Solid Mineral, who told me that even some of the money that you have been paid immediately after we left, they were just being paid this year as counterpart funding, so that the World Bank can continue. So when you have situation like that, who do you blame? That either things have slowed down or things have not worked. And don't forget, investors have alternative. They can go to other places. So I always say investors are kings, and you must treat them as such. You must treat them as such. If Nigeria is not open, other countries can be open. It's just one. He give you another one.
Yes, please.
When we came in, what used to be Cocoa Producers Alliance and all that had been broken. And Nigeria got about between 14 and $15 million from whatever was being held for what Nigeria was entitled to. I didn't know. And officials were spending that money, running around the world. Of course, once they have money, trust officials. Until they spend about $3-4 million. So I said, well, when it came to my attention, I said, hey, stop it. So we want to now develop our cocoa. So there are 9 cocoa producing states in the country. I said their deputy governors should be in charge. I am chairman of that committee, but my Minister of Agriculture will stand in for me if I couldn't chair. So we call it Cocoa Redevelopment Committee. The then Deputy Governor of Osun was the coordinator among the deputy governors. Pastor, within a space of 5 years, we moved from production 150,000 metric tons to 400,000 metric tons of cocoa. And my brother in Ghana, President John Kufuor, came to me one day and said, hey, the way you are going, you will kick us out of this business of cocoa because you are an oil producing country. Leave cocoa to us. I said, no. We are an oil producing country. We must diversify. And I told him, my aim is to get to 1 million metric tons of production. But what has happened since then? So whatever position we find ourselves economically, the blame or the commendation must be taken by our leaders.
You know, some of the things you're talking about are things that the average citizen will never get to know, or even if you read on newspapers or listen to the news, what you're getting is after the facts. These are the behind the scenes actions to ensure that the economy of our country was not only...
You have to do it.
Yes.
It has to be hands-on. It has to be. I always tell the story of Aliko. I was one night as president unable to sleep, and what was causing my sleeplessness was the amount of money we were spending to import cement. Pastor, the raw material for production of cement is limestone. We have it galore. And we started producing cement as far back as 1956 or thereabout. Egypt, Turkey have outstripped us. They are net exporters. So I thought, who can give me an answer to my problem? So I called Aliko Dangote, who was a cement importer. So I called him, I said, look, it was 5 a.m. I woke him up. And I said, Aliko, I want to see you at 7 o'clock. I've been joking with him since then. I said, Aliko, you remember what you said? You said, no, it's bad enough, Mr. President, waking me up at 5 a.m., but asking me to see you at 7 a.m. when you live in Abuja and I live in Lagos. That's an impossibility. I said, okay, see me whenever. And Aliko came. And when Aliko came, I didn't mince words. I said, look, Aliko, why are you importing cement and you are not producing cement? He said, I will answer you. It's because it is more profitable for me to import cement and sell than for me to produce cement. Which is a sensible answer. I said, then, what can I do to make you produce cement? So he said, make it as profitable for me to produce cement as it is for me to import cement and sell. Still, I didn't get what really I had to do. So I asked the third question, what do I do? He said, tie my importation of cement to my production of cement. I said, you can go. I got the answer. Chief Jamodu was my Minister of Industry. And I called him. I said, look, this. He came, of course, from the private sector, so he knows. I said, look, I've had this discussion with Aliko. Oh, he said, "Sir, he was going to work it out." He worked it out. Now, we didn't give Aliko any money. We opened up, we devised a policy. We then opened it out. At the same time, or at about the same time, we were reforming banking system. So we collapsed our banks from 89 banks or so to 25 banks. So banks have capital. So two things happening together. So Aliko could go to bank and borrow money to start building a 5-ton cement factory in Kogi State.
Let me just get in here. What you observed was Aliko was just one example.
No, that's why I give that example.
Yes, of what was going on in the country.
Yes.
He was importing, and you thought, look, we can produce this thing in our country. Why are you importing?
Yes. And I called him
Yes.
because he wasn't shy to tell me. Now I banned the importation of cement of biscuit, and the man who was importing biscuit came to me and were all weeping. He said, "Look, you've ruined me." I said, "I haven't ruined you. What is in producing biscuit? You can produce biscuit locally." He said, "I have no land. I have an assistant. We call them special assistant." I said, "Look, go to my special assistant. He will take you to the governor of Ogun State. Governor of Ogun State will give you land." The man got land in Agbara. He is the largest biscuit producer, not for Nigeria, but for West Africa today.
That's interesting. He was importing biscuits. And then you came up with a policy to ban the importation of biscuits.
Yeah.
And the man who was responsible for this had to come and see you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He said, I've
ruined his
him.
business.
Yes. And I said, I haven't ruined you. I haven't ruined you. If anything, I have helped you and helped Nigeria. Come on, go into production.
Produce rather than import. And today he is the largest producer of biscuits in West Africa. That's remarkable. That's remarkable. You know, I was asking you these questions about policy, and I said your most significant economic decisions. And what I'm looking at here from your answers really have to do with your personal involvement in negotiating on behalf of the country, getting involved in real policies to influence how business was done in Nigeria for the benefit of the country.
Yeah, but there's no other way. I was talking about Aliko Dangote earlier. I was following Aliko's development of his factory in Kogi State. And if I had information that work was not going on fast enough, I will phone him and say, Aliko, do you have problem? What is happening? On one occasion, Aliko said, look, sir, you are getting me worried. I said, how? He said, because this factory is private sector factory, it's not government. Now, why do you worry yourself about it? I said, Aliko, it is for Nigeria. And if it's for Nigeria, I have to worry myself about it. And because that's where I said,
Interest of the country.
it's for Nigeria. And if it's for Nigeria, I have to worry myself about it. And that has to be the way. I have to be there and see how things hang together. How agriculture hangs with industry. What can we produce in agriculture that we can add value instead of selling it as a commodity? Can add value and sell it as processed product. How do we get trade, industry, agriculture, finance all together? How do I even encourage Nigerians who want to do business in other countries? It's all part of my job. Because I found that Chirac will phone me and say, well, there's this French company. Right. I would say the French company will be given opportunity on its own merit. So why can't I also phone an African leader and say, hey, there's this one? Or even take him personally and say, hey, he's interested in investing in your country. Which I did.
I'm just thinking about something. You've mentioned leadership as one of the major eroding factors of some of these achievements at different times. Do we have any policy for leadership development in our country?